In Splatoon, there are a whole lot of weapons to choose from. We've got paint rollers, paint brushes, and even umbrellas. In fact, in Splatoon 3, there's 55 to choose from at the time of recording this, and today, after 4.5 hours of determination, I have used every single weapon in Splatoon 3. The purpose? To see how many turf war matches I can win whilst changing my weapon every single round. The results of this will surprise you, honestly, so stick till the end. This video made me learn many things from this learning experience, but before we talk about it, I'm going to beg you to subscribe to my channel. I live streamed this right here on my YouTube channel, and do you want to know how many people joined on both streams combined? 4 people. So please, subscribe to my channel, and turn notifications on to help support my channel. Thank you. I started this challenge not expecting to spend 4.5 hours, I was expecting about 2.5 to 3 hours. This challenge was filled with me raging at the many communication errors, mostly in the first hour or two. And no, 1.2 hasn't fixed much, which I played the last 5 weapons on, I still had 2 communication errors. I should also mention, I'm only going to show a small fraction of the footage in this video, but if you want to watch the full footage, I'll leave a card for the first live stream here, where I did the first 50 weapons, as well as a link in the description. And I'll also leave a card here for the second live stream where I completed the final 5 weapons and messed around a bit afterwards. This'll also be linked in the description. This challenge started off with Splatlings, and to be honest, this is probably the weapon type I've used the least in all 3 games, hence the reason I used this weapon type first, with Brellas probably being second least used. Despite this, I really didn't do too horribly on this, I probably fared worst with a later weapon type. For each individual weapon type, I'll state which order I've completed it in, and what weapons I've won with, except if things are out of order. I'll also state in particular if I liked using any one of these weapons, and how much experience I've had with them prior to this video. I completed this in the following order: Nautilus 27, Mini Splatling, Ballpoint Splatling, Hydra Splatling and Heavy Splatling. The Mini Splatling and Heavy Splatling was the only 2 I got wins on, unfortunately. Prior to this video, I've only used the Mini Splatling and Nautilus 47, so I'm pretty okay with these results. With the Splatlings, I probably enjoyed using the Mini Splatling the most, due to its quick charge time, and the worst Splatling for me was the Hydra Splatling. It felt like it had a low paint output and it took a long time to charge. Also, let me know in the comments below on whether you main Splatlings or not, same goes for the 10 other types we'll be talking about. Let's proceed onwards from Splatlings. I then decided to use the Bamboozler, just simply because this weapon genuinely sucks. I mainly did this straight after the Splatlings, because this is a meme weapon from what I've seen, lol. Either way, the range on this sucks, and the damage sucks not being able to one-shot. I suck at charges as it is, but seriously, just use any other charger. The only good thing about this is the charge time. I'm never planning to use this again, unless I somehow get good at charges, which probably won't happen since I don't use motion controls. I somehow managed to win on this, even though I was an awful teammate to my team. After this, I moved myself on 2 blasters, because again, I have like no experience with these, apart from Lunar Blaster in Splatoon 1, I believe I used it in the original LOL, and the Rapid Blaster and Clash Blaster, although I only used that in Salmon Run prior to this video. Either way, I feel like I did alright with the blasters. I absolutely enjoyed using the Clash Blaster, and I got 5 kills I believe in the space of 1 minute in a round that unfortunately didn't count because someone on their team disconnected. I believe the main reason why the Clash Blaster was actually enjoyable to use is simply due to its fire rate. There wasn't really any weapon in particular I didn't like, although I can't really see why a Rapid Blaster is rapid. Plus, a Rapid Blaster can't one-shot unfortunately. I decided to obviously use the Clash Blaster first for this, and I then used the Rapid Blaster Pro, and then the regular Rapid Blaster. After that, I used the Range Blaster, Standard Blaster and Lunar Blaster. I managed to get wins on the Rapid Blaster Pro, Rapid Blaster, Range Blaster and the Standard Blaster. Again, I'm alright with this because I'm not really a blaster person, although I kind of wish I had one on Clash Blaster just because it was so enjoyable to use. Next, I moved myself onto the stringers. I was only going to originally do the tristringer at this point, since my main focus was to get the ones I have the least experience with done first, but I also did the reflux as well. There's not a whole lot I can really say, other than I really need to learn how to use stringers a lot better. I enjoyed the reflux more here, since it's the best turfing weapon in Splatoon at the present moment, and it isn't awful for combat, although I'd rather use an aerospray in combat lol. I would be lying saying that I didn't enjoy having tenters as well. Seriously, it's probably still too good. I had prior experience with both of these. I used the tristringer a tiny bit when trying to get enough Sheldon licenses for everything, but I'm pretty sure I ended up giving up. I also did use it in story mode obviously. I have a bit more experience with the reflux since I decided to use this weapon to get a Sheldon license on. With the stringers, I only managed to win with the reflux 450, but I'm happy with these results again. In fact, I'm pretty much happy with all the results I've gotten from this challenge. From this point, I mainly started focusing on the weapon types that had the least weapons, instead of perhaps going on to something I'm pretty bad at such as the rest of the chargers or the Brellas. They are probably the worst weapon type at the current moment. I chose the Splatanas due to it also having only 2 weapons at the time of writing. There's not a ton of difference between the two, but I preferred the Stamper, just because of it not having Ultra Stamp. Although, I really don't think Ultra Stamp is as bad as what people think, it just depends on what you use it for. I only managed to win with the Splatana Stamper, but I think that was helped by the fact that someone on the opposing team disconnected in the latter half of that match. After this, I moved on to the brushes. I'm not actually sure whether I've had that much experience with the standard ink brush. The only experience I probably have would be in Splatoon 1, if I used it in that game. I've used the Octo brush a bit more however, it's generally my go-to weapon for Clan Blitz. Like the Splatanas, there's not really a whole lot of difference between the ink brush and Octo brush, apart from movement speed and damage, but I generally prefer the Octo brush because of the Zipcaster, which I think it's a great pairing, due to the brushes allowing for a decent moving speed when holding ZR. This is the first class type that I managed to not lose on a single weapon, although there are only 2 weapons here. I used the ink brush first, and then the Octo brush after. Next, I targeted the rest of the chargers. As you all can guess, Bamboozler is the worst due to the reasons I've outlined earlier in the dedicated segment for the Bamboozler, but I don't have a particular favorite with these. I have a bit of experience with the Splat Charger and Elita, albeit the 3K version, in Splatoon 1, as well as a bit of GooTuber experience in Splatoon 3, although I'm not sure about whether I used it at all in 2. If I'm being completely honest, I probably struggled the most with this class of weapons. The main reason is just due to terrible aim. I won't blame this all on not using motion controls, but that is the main reason. I completed these in the following order: Classic Squiffer, Splat Charger, Splatoscope, Elita 4K, Elita 4K Scope and GooTuber. I managed to get a win with the Splat Charger, Splatoscope and GooTuber. I think I probably did better than what I'd expect here, having 4 out of 6 wins on all the charger weapons. After this, it was time to go on to one of my personal favorite weapon types, the rollers. I will say this straight away that I hate the dynamo roller, and I don't think that's ever going to change. The amount of time it takes to fling it is ridiculous, and even though it spreads far, the trade-off of this being so slow to fling just makes it something I try to avoid as much as possible. For my favorite of the rollers, I would like to say that the carbon roller is the best. This was one of the main rollers I used in the original Splatoon, as well as the standard Splat roller and the crack-on Splat roller. The carbon roller simply just flings ink so fast, and it works well at turfing, and it has a Zipcaster which I think is again perfect for this, but the damage on this is awful compared to any other type of roller. Therefore, I think I prefer the Flingser roller here, simply because I'm not particularly keen on the standard Splat roller having big bubbler at the moment. For the order I played these, I used the carbon roller first, followed by the Splat roller, dynamo roller and Flingser roller. I had prior experience with all of these, which was pretty nice, and plus, I got wins on everything except the carbon roller. After this, it was time for the Brellas. I'm pretty sure this is the worst weapon type in the game at the moment. I'd be interested to know whether you guys think Brellas are good or not though, leave a comment below. I had little experience with any of the Brella weapons, I've probably only used them in Salmon Run. I started off with the Splat Brella, and after that, I used the Tenta Brella and Undercover Brella. I probably got along best with the standard Splat Brella, but Brellas currently make you run out of ink too fast. The Tenta Brella wasn't too bad either, you're able to one-shot in certain situations. I managed to get a win with the Splat Brella, and the Undercover Brella. It was time for the Sloshers now, and as you might know, at the time of recording, the sloshing machine was super broken, although I don't think I've ever managed to do anything with the glitch, before it was patched in the recent 1.2.0 update. Either way, I'm pretty sure I had experience with the Slosher and Tree Slosher in Splatoon, but again, not entirely sure. I've been an Aerospray RG main in Splatoon 1 for far too long. I've also messed around with the sloshing machine in Splatoon 3, as well as the Bloblobber and Explosher. I don't really again have a particular favorite with these, but I think it's fair to say I dislike the Explosher. It's practically a burst bomb main weapon, but I'm pretty sure it covers a larger area and uses less ink. Also, talking about burst bombs, I recently did a challenge where I could only use burst bombs and I had to get a win within 6 rounds to complete the challenge. Click the card to go and check it out. I completed these weapons in the following order: Slosher, Tree Slosher, Sloshing Machine, Bloblobber and Explosher. I did pretty decently with these as well, only losing on the Explosher. Before I continue talking about the rest of the challenge, please leave a like on this video. It helps support me in the algorithm, and means that my videos will be pushed to more people. After completing the Sloshers, we only have 2 weapon types left, the Dualies and the Shooters. I have the most experience with these types, and I decided to choose the Dualies first, since obviously there is less weapons here. I have a ton of experience with the Dualies, with the Dark Tetra Dualies being my most used weapon in Splatoon 3 right now, with the freshness level being at 4 stars. I've also used the other variant of this, the Light Tetra Dualies in Splatoon 2 for a bit. I've also used the Splat Dualies for a bit of time as well in both Splatoon 2 and 3. The rest of the Dualies I have a little bit of experience with. I don't really have a least favorite with these, but as you can obviously expect, the Dark Tetras are my favorite in this class so far. I decided to use the Dapple Dualies first, followed by the Glugger Dualies, Dualie Squelchers, Splat Dualies, and finally the Dark Tetra Dualies. I actually managed to get wins with all of these, which is again a huge accomplishment. It was finally time for the Shooters. There's about 14 shooters, so this was the longest segment for sure. The first 9 of these were streamed on version 1.1.2, but the last 5 was on version 1.2.0, just in the interest of full disclosure. I've used the Hero Shot Replica, Aerospray MG, Splattershot Junior, Squeezer, 52 Gal, Splashomatic, Enzap 85 and Splushomatic before streaming this challenge. I have a tiny bit of experience with the Splattershot Pro, and I tried messing with the Jet Squelcher a few weeks ago in Splatoon 1. I actually recorded this on my second channel, but I suck at it, so I definitely rage quitted after 1 round. I might leave a card to the clip here. My least favorite for these have to be the Hozzlenose weapons, literally. These are unlike the rest, where you can't hold ZR to keep shooting. For my favorite, I would be lying if I said I didn't have a soft spot for the Aerospray weapons. Sure, they are not that great for range, but they are incredible at turfing, even with the Reflux now turfing the most now. Like I managed to wing 800p in the first minute of my Aerospray recording, and that's why I've always loved them. In fact, the Aerospray RG has probably been my main weapon in Splatoon 1 since around 2016. If we take out nostalgia though, the Hero Shot Replica is also pretty good, and the Splattershot Junior, Squeezer and Splashomatic is also quite nice to use as well. I started the first half off with the Splushomatic, Splattershot Junior, Splashomatic, Aerospray MG, Splattershot, Hero Shot Replica, 52 Gal, Enzap 85, and Splattershot Pro. We only had losses on the Splashomatic and Splattershot. In the second half, I started off with the 96 Gal, followed by the Jet Squelcher, L3 Hozzlenose, H3 Hozzlenose, and finally the Squeezer. On the second half, I failed with every single weapon apart from the 96 gal. With that, it's time to add up how much wins we've gotten, bearing in mind that I've never played some of these weapons. To start, I had 2 Splatling wins with the Mini Splatling and Heavy Splatling. I had a win with the Bamboozler, one of the weapons generally considered as a meme. Next, I had 4 Blaster wins, with the Rapid Blaster Pro, Range Blaster and Blaster. With the Stringers, we had a win with the Reflux 450. At this point, I have 8 wins, let's continue onwards. For the Splatanas, I had a win with the Splatana Stamper. For the brushes, I won with both the Ink Brush and Octo Brush, taking us up to 11 wins at this point. With the rest of the chargers, I managed to get 3 wins, using the Splat Charger, Splatoscope and Goo Tuber. I had 3 roller wins, on the Splat Roller, Flingser Roller and Dynamo Roller. Next, with the Brellas, I got 2 wins, with the Splat Brella and Undercover Brella, taking us to 19 wins. With the Sloshers, I had 4 wins, with the Slosher, Trislosher, Sloshing Machine and Bloblobber. For the Dualies, I managed to win with all of them, the Splat Dualies, Dapple Dualies, Glugger Dualies, Dark Tetra Dualies and Dualie Squelchers. This means we're now up to 28 wins going into the final weapon type, being the shooters. With these, we got wins with the Splushomatic, Splatter Shot Junior, Aerospray MG, Hero Shot Replica, NZAP 85, 52 gal, Splatter Shot Pro, and finally, the 96 gal. This is 8 weapons in total, which means our final result is 36 weapons out of 55. This means we unfortunately lost on 19 weapons, but this is pretty good considering I certainly wouldn't call myself amazing at the game. I'm B in Splatoon 1 and 3, and B in general in Splatoon 2 ranked. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate that you've made it to the end. You watching all the way through is helping to support me as a small channel. I'm going to ask you again to subscribe. I'm actually losing subscribers and views at the present moment due to my content shift to Splatoon 3 content. Either way,